Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel this afternoon. And yes, I do have a new oscilloscope, and I am proud of it. Now, hate to burst your bubble, while old Betsy here is reliable and still functions very well, she is not my new oscilloscope. I actually rescued her from the bin on campus. We were getting new equipment, and they were, throwing out the old. She still works, but I mean, I don't know what year that was made. It's a cathode ray tube. It's actually very analog, but she still works, and I think I might just keep it around as an educational tool to show, my students, what we had back then. I believe this was probably what I, learned on. But no, this is what I got. This is the DSO-094 from JYE Tech, and without much ado, it is a handheld, right, virtually pocket oscilloscope. Now there's a couple of in the packaging here. There's a shipping label from them. This is a warning about the battery. It was disconnected during shipping and needs to be charged. Okay, some protection there. And this is the new girl. And well, let's wait for the camera to focus here. I got this one specifically because the controls are dedicated. It has the standard BNC connectors for each channel. It's a 2-channel oscilloscope. Kind of small on the screen, but if I can see the waveforms between two different signals and verify that they're in sync, that's what I got this for. There have been a couple of instances where I've watched cars leave the dealership or be traded in because we could not diagnose a no start, no run, or a drivability issue because we couldn't verify cam and crank sync. So I always wanted to get one of these, and while I could have gotten a Pico for a few thousand or a used Vantage, this is $150. Now you're wondering, you get what you pay for, and I do agree. But before I jumped out there and bought this, I actually watched some renowned YouTubers who deal with electronics and their apparatus and measuring and stuff like that. Electroboom, while he's funny, some of his suppliers, supporters, they are actually in that genre. EEV Blog is another one, and Mongo Shark. There are too many to name, but I watched hours of videos to get their opinions and to understand what I want in an oscilloscope. And I settled on this guy for versatility of use and functionality, and this guy looks like it'll fit the bill. So you got the oscilloscope, and this is it, and it's got dedicated switches for choosing channels or combining them on screen, and there's source signaling. It's got buttons to choose each channel, and this is the adjustment for the voltages and their position. So you press it once to adjust the voltage, you press the channel button the second time to change its location. The trigger level can be changed. It can also be changed whether it's going to be upward slope or downward slope. Now, I got all this from looking at the information on JYE Tech's website, so I'm kind of familiar with this scope even before it arrived. On the side here, it does have options for power. It'll power through the USB and also power through that jack there if you want to have it powered on while you are working. But the USB also lets you transfer any saved waveforms you have on this to a PC. So we're going to look at the peripherals, okay? It comes with a USB cable. It's the old one, the regular USB, not the mini, I guess, not the micro. Okay, so it comes with that. I'll plug that into the PC. It comes with 2 BNC connectors, okay? And they're the regular style. Now the thing I like about them is that they're attenuator, which basically lets you bump up your sensitivity or whatever, reduce it by a factor of 10. Okay, so on there's a switch, and it goes from 1x to 10x. So if you're looking at a say 2-volt signal and you don't have enough graticles on your screen, you can change it to 10, and now each square is 20 volts. So hopefully that helps. Got 2 of those, and so the way it's designed, it's got a couple of caps in another bag there, those yellow caps in that bag to protect the tip. But the ground lead is kind of interesting. It's this little guy here, and I don't like it much, only because it does have an alligator clip. it doesn't really feel that strong. Like it's in this boot, and just pressing it to get it to open and close looks like it might deform the actual alligator clip, and it doesn't feel like it has much tension to hold on. But that said, this horseshoe shape here, this clip here goes around the shank, all right, of the lead right there. I'm sorry it's all blurred. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but it clips on right there, and so that's your ground for your lead, and that might work pretty well. That might work pretty well. In addition, in this bag are a couple of attachments. They're hook attachments. They're spring-loaded, so if you want to work hands-free, if you can get the leads to bite onto something. Let me open this bag. Yes. Alright. So I really wanted to make an unboxing video because I didn't want to just spring out there and start using this thing to diagnose, and you're like, hey, what is that? How good is it? And all this information will, is the kind of stuff you get in an unboxing video. So I figured I'd introduce the oscilloscope here. So this just fits on the end of the lead like that. It clips on, it stays on, and basically it's spring loaded, and it exposes that hook. And because it's spring loaded, all right. So I'll give you like the calibration little tab here from Betsy. Has a hole in it. I can put that in there and let go, and the spring loaded part of that will hold that there. And if I wanted it to be grounded to something, okay, so I'm good like that. I could let go, plug this into the oscilloscope, and be off. So now, just to show you guys what's going on here, I have not fully charged this battery, and I could wait for 10 hours before showing you guys what's up, but I figured, you know what, it probably won't hurt it just to turn it on so you guys can see. Oh, she doesn't want to come on now. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe oh, computer's not on. Duh. Alright, let's see what we get now. There we go. Alright, so if we needed to power it, we could do that. If we wanted to communicate with that, we could, as in like any signals that we saved, which this can do. If we saved any signals, we could transfer it to the PC. Alright, so let it focus in there. And so I'm going to have to familiarize you guys with the buttons. So I'm going to go top down from left to right. So we have channel 1, channel 2, division, time division there, trigger, menu, alt, menu, hold, and alt. Okay. Now the adjustment, anytime you're in a menu, one of those modes, the adjustment will adjust that. So we see there, I don't know what time base we're on. We're at 0.2 seconds. Get this to focus so you can see. Put that out. Alright, so 0.2 seconds. If I turn the adjustment knob, I can go to a ridiculously small amount of time. So I'm in microseconds there. Okay. Alright, 0.2 microseconds. All the way, I think the largest time interval is 10 minutes per division. Alright, so we're not going to wait around that long, but I'm going to put it 1 second. You can see it moving along there. Alright, the next thing is if I were to hit channel 1, now if you look up top, you'll see we're at 50 millivolts per division. Channel 1, I'm going to press that button now, and you'll see it highlights that. So I can change the volts per division vertically. So now I have a 6-volt range from top to bottom. But if you notice, you have 2 channels, 2 lines going across there. So basically, if I wanted to fully utilize the full screen for a voltage trace, I would have to move them all the way to the bottom. You achieve that by pressing the channel again, and it moves to a little icon, looks like I don't know, a straight line with 2 crosses across it, and you can move the channel up and down, and you can do that for channels 1 and 2. Okay, channel 2 there, I'm changing the voltage, press it again, and then I can move channel 2 down also. So I can move them all the way down and then use the full screen for that. Menu over here I like because now I can choose between mapping each signal to time or mapping them to each other. And while I don't think there's any use for that for me on the automobile, I'd be interested to see exactly what that does in way of syncing signals. I wonder if there's some kind of relationship. But then we also have saving the waveform. I think you could save up to 4. If I wanted to call it back, I would use that right there. That would be to send it to the PC. If I'd unlock the hard drive, I could do that right now and just send send a waveform to it and you watch it. I can change the recording length, how long it saves a waveform for. The trigger position, trigger sensitivity, I could change those here. The baud rate, the communication baud rate between the PC, and I could restore all defaults. So let me get out of that, go back to my screen here, and there's a hold button. So if I wanted to stop this from moving, I could, and it freezes the waveform there. Okay, it would freeze it. And then that would make it go again. All right. So it's pretty versatile, and the trigger I think is down here. So I can pick between a fixed trigger, upward slope. Oh, I can. Oh, that first one was to move the trigger. Sorry. So I can move the trigger up or down, so you can see it on the right side of the screen there. Okay. And I do believe the next one is for whether the trigger is picking an upward slope or downward slope. Oops. Of the trace. So I could go upwards or downward slope, and so on and so forth. So the other modes I'd have to familiarize myself with, but this seems to be enough for what I needed to do. Now I am concerned about the resolution. Looks kind of sketchy there, doesn't it? And then it's not plugged in and it's picking up noise, which isn't uncommon, but I'm a little worried about how much of it I see, specifically since I'm at a 2 volt per division. So it's picking up noise in the realm of about 0.2 of a volt. Well, we'll see. So I just wanted to show you guys my new toy. That way, later on when I do use it, you're familiar with it, and we can now both assess how good it is at doing its job. Sorry for the clutter. I was reclaiming memory and hard drives from some dead laptops that were cluttering my office so I could recycle what's left, and that's where we're at. But now that I've shown you my new toy, I have something else. I'm going to end on that note, but I have a little bit of a bombshell. Yes! Imagine that. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon.